Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Andy, and the prime directive of my life is to increase the quality of my consciousness and to help others do the same. And I just wanted to talk to you guys for a few minutes today about a really cool topic or idea that I heard about over the weekend. I'm part of a leadership group, and there was a conference going on this weekend, and they had a speaker on stage, and she was talking about how the it was like a good analogy or metaphor, right? And the way that it started out when she was talking about it was, we all have like a music app on our phone, right? Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, whatever, even YouTube Music or just regular YouTube with the music. Anyways, when you are listening to whatever music that you enjoy listening to, the application has a sort of an algorithm to it. And it starts playing you songs that are similar to the type of songs that you listen to on a regular basis, right? And so after so much time listening to whatever station you're listening to, or listening to whatever artist you're listening to, the app will start playing you either the same songs from the same type of songs from that artist, or they'll start talking to you or showing you songs from similar artists within the same genre, or whatever the case is. And the way that she explained how the algorithms work for music, when they start playing you certain songs, she explained that our mind is the same way. And when you start thinking a bunch of negative, low energy, scarcity mindset style thoughts of, I can't do it, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money to do it, you start to get into a place where your mind will develop an algorithm that it starts playing back to you on a regular basis, right? Just like the music application will, so will your mind, right? It develops that same algorithm. And then on the flip side, when you think about the algorithm that you have playing in your mind on a regular basis, and think about some of the concepts that we have talked about in the past, the way that the subconscious mind works, and whether it doesn't know whether you're joking or not when it comes to some of these topics, or some of these core internal thoughts that you're telling yourself, whether you're joking or not, or the people you hang out with, whether they're joking or not when they are low-key talking crap about you, or what the case is. You get to a place where the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what you're talking about being true or not, or whether you really believe it or not. And so if you get into an algorithm of negative self-talk, what your mind is going to start doing is telling itself that, all right, if this is what he or she is constantly thinking about, I'm going to continue to feed these types of thoughts, and maybe even make them even worse, right? Even more destructive, or even more negative. And you can see how destructive, or not even destructive, right? It doesn't even have to be destructive in every single case, but you can see how this type of negative self-talk that is being reinforced by the mind, because it's what's on play all the time in your head, you're going to get to a place where you're feeling so bad that you won't even take any action, right? It'll get to a point where you're unwilling to even step foot outside of your comfort zone, because the algorithm in your mind is telling you that you're not worth the effort, that you are gonna fail anyways, so why waste your time? Fill in the blank, right? There's tons of negative thoughts that you can really pull out of a scenario like that, and each person is gonna have different thoughts, right? Now think about it on the other side, right? You can use this, it's a function of the mind, right? It's not a bug, right? the algorithm that gets developed in our mind, and the thoughts that get flooded through our mind that are primarily there, that we focus on the most. They don't have to be these negative thoughts or these, disaster scenarios or the patterns of belief that have led us to where we're at today. It doesn't have to be that, right? When you think about the function of the algorithm in our mind playing back what it is that we're feeding into it on a regular basis, you can start to wire in, on the flip side, instead of negative thought patterns and negative self-talk, you can feed in more empowering core beliefs, more empowering thought patterns. And when you start feeding your mind that on a regular basis, your subconscious mind will start to develop a new algorithm that you can start living your life by. And when you think about some of the other core concepts that we've talked about in the past, specifically how the thoughts that we are thinking on a regular basis are producing the emotions that we are experiencing, and that shows up in the way that we take action, or if we even take action at all in the real world, right? And so if you're constantly feeding into your mind positive, empowering, emboldening, courageous thoughts, think about the emotions that you're going to feel. You might feel very confident. You might be extremely energized. You might be extremely charismatic, right? And then if you're feeling confident and charismatic and courageous, imagine the way that you're going to show up every single day in the world. Imagine the type of actions that you'll be taking, and not only what kind of actions you're taking. Think about the way in which that you're going to be taking those actions, the energy in which that you're putting out while you're engaging in these actions. And then when you think about wiring in those core concepts, these new empowering beliefs, and you have a new algorithm playing in your brain, well, now that you've developed this skill and being able to manage what type of core thoughts that are flowing through, you can start to think about and visualize, all right, what is the algorithm like in the mind of my best self, right? What is the algorithm like in the mind of my most successful self, my wealthiest, my healthiest, my happiest and most fulfilled, right? The version of me who's the best parent, the best husband or wife, the best brother or sister, right? What is the algorithm that version of me has playing on a regular basis? And then once you can start to develop these new algorithms in which your mind is playing on a regular basis, you're going to start to feel a lot different inside. And this is going to start to show up in the way that you take action. And it's going to show up in the habits that you start to develop. And you're going to start to see your life change if you can stay consistent with these new algorithms, and then the habits that follow, right? Because from the thought process and the emotions, they start to show up in the way that you are, not only what habits you're doing again, but how you're showing up within each of those habits. And when you start to craft the habits based on the core thoughts and emotions that your best self is feeling and thinking, you're going to start being able to wire in and shift your timeline, right? Because again, if you hadn't seen my previous video about this, there are infinite timelines all happening all at once. And we have the power within us based on what what frequency we're resonating at, vibrating at, and we can shift to new timelines based on the way that we think, feel, and act every single day. And so when you can start to resonate or vibrate at the frequency of your best self, based on the algorithms that you've built up in your mind, using these new techniques and new insights in the way that you're looking at how to develop these new mindsets, right? It's always about, when people want to start changing, they don't quite know where to start. They don't quite know exactly how to get these new mindsets. They want to be confident. They want to be courageous. They want to start that business. They want to ask that person out. But they don't know how, because they still haven't addressed these new algorithms that they need to wire in. And so essentially what you get is people who want to change but can't sustain it more than a couple days or maybe a couple weeks even, because again, they're operating against their core thoughts and beliefs about the whole situation. If you just start new habits without addressing the core thoughts, it's like when you're just trimming the weeds at the top where the grass comes out and you're not actually pulling them out from the root, right? The weeds are just going to grow back. The old habits are just going to come back. The old algorithms are just going to start playing again. And the way that you can get these algorithms to stick around is by maintaining daily practices that keep you resonating and vibrating at the frequency of your best self. And all of that starts with really figuring out and getting specific with the way that you're feeding your subconscious mind, right? What are you listening to? What kind of music are you listening to? What are the subconscious seeds that get planted in the music that you listen to, right? It's not just about, oh, I'm listening to this certain music that really gets me hyped up to go get after my gym. Okay, but what is the music actually talking about, right? Because whether you actually are listening consciously to the lyrics of the song or not, your subconscious mind is a fertile ground ready for seeds to be planted, and that can either be really positive and beneficial, or they can end up being weeds in your mind that end up taking over the more positive, empowering thoughts that you're trying to wire in, these new algorithms that you're trying to wire in, right? And so you have to be really mindful of this. You have to get very specific. What kind of music you're listening to, what kind of videos are you watching, what kind of people are you hanging out with, right? All of these things, daily practices, and then you can set up daily reminders, right? Even alarms on your phone just to check in throughout the day. Am I, again, for every person, it's going to be different. Am I being, for me, for a while, it was mindful, inspiring, and productive. Those were my three characteristics of my best self that I was trying to live into every day. I was being mindful, I was being productive, and I was trying to be inspiring. Those are my three things, and they really filled me up every day. I had them written on my mirror every morning, so I reminded myself every day of what I was trying to do. And then I would have little daily alarms every 3 or 4 hours. They would pop off, and it'd ask those same questions. Am I being those three things: inspiring, mindful, and productive? So that's just one, and there's several others that you could do. I'm not going to go into a bunch of those today. If you want more practices and techniques in that way, where I actually tell you exactly what it is that I do, we can do. I'll add a couple extra at the end of videos. I know that the length of the videos, I try to keep them at a decent length without getting into a place where I'm rambling too long, or I put the actual tools and techniques here at the end of the video, and I know some people aren't really getting to the end of the video, and so I just want to make sure that if that's something that you want, for people who are listening this far in, let me know and I can definitely add those in. But that's really all I got today, man. Just to recap, so that way I can really hammer this home for you. The algorithms that play in your head are very much determined by the music you listen to, the thoughts that you're thinking on a regular basis, what kind of, mental chatter are you focusing on? Is it positive mental chatter? Is it negative mental chatter? And the algorithm that your subconscious mind will start playing in your mind on a regular basis, instead of I suck and I can't do it and I'm not smart enough, or I'll never get that level of success in my life, or I'll never be able to start that business and have it work for me. It could be that, or it could be on the other side of that, in that I can do it, I am courageous, I will succeed, that business will work out for me, that person will say yes to me when I ask them out. And your subconscious mind will start playing you new algorithms, right? Having those types of core thoughts and, different types of music that's more empowering, that focuses more on, I'm not going to try and tell you what music to listen to. I'm not going to get too deep into that. We're just going to leave it there. If you got this far, I appreciate you. Again, I salute you for taking the journey to improving the way that you think about the world, trying on new perspectives, understanding that there's different ways to go about this life thing. And it's all about trial and error and being able to learn from that. So, all in all, man, I appreciate you again. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about today's video. What kind of algorithms you got playing in your head? Is this something you've ever even thought about before? Do you regularly think about the way that your mind is talking back to you on a regular basis? What kind of chatter is floating around on a regular basis, right? And start thinking about ways that you can change that chatter around, right? Change the way that chatter sounds in your head, the type of words that it's using, right? And yeah, I'd love to hear if there's any topics you guys want to hear about. Let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue doing the videos as I see fit. It's usually like when I see an empowering thing on a video, or I'm at a leadership conference, or I am just talking with a friend and we get into a really good conversation. Usually that's how these topics come up to mind. And I just get on video and I kind of get into flow state and I just talk about things off the top of my dome. So yeah, share this with a friend. Let them know that the algorithms that are playing in their head can be changed around and make them feel a lot better and thus perform and have better results in life. So I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.